involuntary lethal injection or something, just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this, we're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up. We were discussing the murder of Irina Zarutska in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how to stop these kinds of attacks by homeless, mentally ill assailants, including institutionalizing or jailing such people so they cannot attack again. Now, during that discussion, I wrongly said they should get lethal injections. I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion.
Friday the 22nd of August, Irina Zarutska was stabbed to death in public. If you haven't watched the video in its entirety because you feel it's inappropriate or uncomfortable, you should be uncomfortable. Everybody should be forced to watch that video. I'm on the other side of the world in Australia, and let me tell you, when George Floyd died, there was a lot going on around the world. Many of us white people have posters and t-shirts of Black Lives Matter. One of those white people was Irina Zarutska. And yes, you heard that correctly. There is an image of Irina in her bedroom with a Black Lives Matter poster pinned on her wall. Not one single person surrounding Irina at that moment in time was willing to help her in any way. She died alone. And she died in fear, and she thought she was in a country that was a blessing to her and her family. She just escaped her home country where she thought this could happen to her and her family. The judge who allowed this monster out on the streets deserves to go to prison, and that monster deserves the death penalty. And in my opinion, every single person in that video who did nothing deserved prison time as well. If you're not concerned about this, you should be, because it could have been you.
Hi guys, I'm Tiana and this is Tiana's React. A shocking tragedy unfolded in Charlotte when 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee, was stabbed to death on a train. She was on her way home from work when the attack happened unprovoked and in full view of other passengers. What made it even much more painful was that people were there, but no one stepped in to save her. Could she have survived it if someone had helped? Let's talk about it.
What honestly gets me with the whole situation with the girl from Ukraine, I don't want to say her name wrong out of respect for her, is I just still cannot fathom that everybody around her reacted the way they did after this man had literally hit her in the neck. Like, I really want to say that they did not have time to process what actually happened to her until she passed out. I really want to say, because like, why is nobody really talking about that? Like, I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. Like, if I seen some shit like that, is that real life? Like, does the brain take time to process what actually happened? Because remember, when the dude walked up towards the train, everybody thought he was bleeding initially, for the people that didn't look behind him until they actually looked behind him and seen what he actually did.
It's just flat out exhausting to watch Republicans turn this Charlotte murder situation into political ammo, and frankly, seeing Republicans, including President Trump, using the story of Irina Zarutska to push their own fear-driven racist narratives, claiming Democrats want violent criminals and to protect them and to do whatever they can to make sure that they can run around, is simply not true. Now, Irina fled war in Ukraine looking for safety at just 23. Her full life was ahead of her, and what happened is absolutely tragic. Keep in mind, all these Republicans who are claiming they cared about her voted against continuing to fund the war in Ukraine. So did they really care about her life? No, they're using this as political ammo. And for that, it's also another reason why this is disgusting. The suspect, a man with a long rap sheet, and Republicans and Democrats can all agree this man should not have been roaming the streets. He should have been in a mental health facility, or he should have been in prison. Bottom line, we can all agree on that. He slipped through the system, people screwed up, and that is not acceptable for whoever is responsible. But twisting this tragedy into this like black versus white culture war thing, like, that's not justice. That's literally just propaganda. Look, if the Democrats want to win in 2028, they need to be loud and clear. They need to be tough on crime. They need to be tough on the system that lets people like this fall through the cracks. But they need to do it in a way that is not resorting to fear or hate. There is a way to address these crime issues without being inhumane like the Trump administration. And I hope whoever the Democratic candidate is in 2028 can find a way to make people feel safer, but do it in a way that makes sense for everyone involved.
It obviously makes abundant sense why news outlets would censor the brutal murder of that Ukrainian woman in America. But genuinely, if you can stomach it, I would recommend you watching the video, because you'll now see two tragedies: the murder and then everyone around. It was quick, but it took her a while to fall down from her chair. So it was just her being really confused. So I understand why people didn't move immediately, but it becomes very apparent. And you see the blood falls from her step onto the floor. And no one did anything. No one did anything for over a minute. Now, I don't know the ins and outs in terms of which vein, which artery. If someone had jumped in immediately and done the pressure, you know, when you tie it tight, I can't see that not helping, because it was a while. She was dying for a while. It wasn't, not even trying to be funny, it wasn't like the Charlie Kirk where it was quite, like, it was completely over there. I guess because it's stabbing. But I'm just saying, I think people could have done something. So watching all these people sit and just watch, people moved. They moved away. Not moved to get better signal to call. They just moved because they didn't want to be involved.
This is honestly just sick. This week has been absolutely horrific. I'm ashamed to be a human, to share humanity with these people, especially the ones who are celebrating this, not just the people who are committing these crimes. First, we see a young girl who comes to our country as a refugee, a true immigrant who deserves to find asylum here, get in cold blood on public transportation, and you have to watch her put her hands over her face when she realizes she's got about 30 seconds left before she leaves this planet alone, while other people watch. And now we log on and we see a father get pew-pewed right in the neck, and we don't know what's going to happen there. All because he wants you to use a separate bathroom? All because he believes in tariffs? What is it? Because I don't see any disagreement that Charlie Kirk stood for that warrants. Okay, a lot of you guys have conservative fathers, conservative grandfathers, conservative relatives that are maybe even more radical than Charlie Kirk. Would what happened to him be warranted to happen to them? No. But we've become so detached from reality because we live our lives in our phones and we're chronically online that when something like this happens to a public figure, we just choose to be numb to it. Or we choose to dehumanize that public figure in order to not come to terms with how dark our humanity actually is. And it's sick. Watching these people celebrate this or make jokes about it, I'm horrified. And it makes me want to just shut everything off and detach myself from all of it, because the world is so dark. And I know it's very tempting to do that right now, but please don't. It's more important now than ever to show grace and compassion for the people that it is hardest for you to do that towards, and that is the people that you disagree with. If you're somebody who is horrified by this, whether you are on the left or the right or the center like me, what you need to do is not detach. What we need to do is get more active in a loving way that facilitates proper discussion. Because if we don't, the only people with the microphones are going to be the ones who don't deserve it. I know a lot of you guys may not believe in prayers, and even if you don't, I'm genuinely praying for Charlie Kirk and his family.
Hi, this is Cindy from Rowan Tree Groves. I've been asked to do a peek at Irina Zaruska. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's a young woman that was killed on the train. And so as I was looking for her photograph and looking at her name, I could hear her asking me over and over again, have you checked on the man? She was worried about the man that stabbed her more than she was worried about herself. She was telling me he needed help, that she had total compassion for him. And I thought that was really, really interesting. She was in the afterlife. There was nothing around her but people. And she really wasn't interacting with the people around her. She was telling me that she knows she's gone. She saw herself die. and she's waiting for her mother. And I asked her if her mother was still was in the afterlife, and she said no. And I said, then did you get to go say your goodbyes to your mother? And she said, no, not yet. And when I said that, an older woman who'd been right next to her took her by the elbow, and I assumed that she was going to guide her to say her goodbyes to her family. And that's kind of how it ended. So she's doing well. She looked exactly the same as she did in the train. She just had on the same clothes, hat. She didn't look injured. She was more concerned about the man who had murdered her than she was about herself. She wanted to speak to her mother one more time, which she's going to get to do, and then she'll pass through the light. So that was my peek, and I hope this helps a few of you to feel a little bit better.
So guys, this is truly heartbreaking. A young woman lost her life in front of people who could have helped her but didn't. It makes you wonder, if it were you or someone you loved, would bystanders just sit and watch too? The world feels colder when humanity fails at moments like this. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you feel or what you think about the whole situation. Like and of course subscribe to support the channel. Till next time, bye.